Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is now out in theaters, and I waited for the weekend to come and go before I did a spoiler discussion video. There's a lot to talk about with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, some stuff in particular that I really wanted to talk about in my review, but I couldn't because that was a spoiler-free review, and I didn't want to spoil anything for anybody, and I do have a spoiler-free video if you want to check that out if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. If you have seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or if you haven't and you don't care about spoilers, well then, hey, welcome to the spoiler discussion for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. From here on out, if you don't like spoilers, well, you've been warned. There's one thing I said in my video that I said that wasn't true, and I did it to throw people off, and that is the Gold People. The Gold People are not the main villains. Kurt Russell is. He's ego, and he's a dickhead. He's kinda got a huge ego. Basically what happens is this. The Guardians of the Galaxy steal from these Gold People. The Gold People chase after them. They get saved by this figure that Rocket Raccoon sees in space. This figure takes Drax, Star-Lord, Gamora, and Nebula to his home planet. And that's where we find out that this guy is in fact Ego, Star-Lord's father. So Ego explains that he's this godlike celestial. He's just immortal consciousness that creates this avatar that happens to be Kurt Russell. He's manipulated the matter around it to form the planet with itself and a core. He traveled to this universe to escape his loneliness and discover a purpose, in which he eventually fell in love with Star-Lord's mother, Meredith. Eventually, we find out that he hired Yondu to collect Peter Quill and bring him back to him, but Yondu failed to do that mission for Ego. He tries to get Star-Lord to manipulate his power, but Gamora's not buying it. This is what I liked about this movie. There was this really cool scene on the planet of Ego between Gamora and Nebula. The two of them are just fighting each other, and then they just come across this pit of bones, and Gamora's like, oh shit, something's not right. Back to Star-Lord and Ego. Ego has convinced Star-Lord that he has planted these seedlings on the planet, and he can basically terraform into new versions of himself, and this really needs the power of two Celestials, Peter Quill and Ego, but Ego's like, yeah, I killed your mother. Ego hired Yondu to collect all the children, but Ego killed them all when he found out that they didn't have celestial power. This is when Ego forces Quill to use his celestial powers to start consuming the whole world, but then when he mentions his mother, that's where Peter Quill finally snaps out of it. You're just like, yes! And in all honesty, Marvel's villain problem is solved in this whole movie. Two things that have plagued the Marvel Cinematic Universe. At least one, in my mind, is the villains. Ego is definitely in the top 3 villains of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you're going to look at villains, it's Loki, Obadiah Stane, just for that one line, pile scrap! And number 3 is Ego. I might even put Ego above Jeff Bridges. This was a really, really good villain. Very well fleshed out villain. And this was the stuff that was interesting about this. It was a personal journey for Star-Lord. It was a personal journey for all of the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's this giant-ass battle that goes down the planet with that scene in the trailer where Baby Groot's being told how to operate the bomb, or Rocket's like, alright, whatever you do, don't press this button. Repeat it back to me. I am Groot. Yes. I am Groot. Yes. I am Groot. No! That's the button that's gonna kill us all! There's a whole action scene that follows that. It's really cool. Peter Quill uses his celestial power. You just see Ego in his planet form, and he's just going after Peter Quill. Peter Quill just uses his power and turns into a Pac-Man thing. That was pretty funny. But the brunt of the thing is Yondu sacrifices himself and dies. That was a pretty ballsy move. This movie really made me love Yondu. I was just like, Yondu, man, rest in peace. You're gonna be missed. Hopefully Stallone's crew takes over for Yondu, because I want to see more of Stallone. Apparently they were in this movie, his crew was the original Guardians of the Galaxy. They're only in 2 scenes, but I mean that was a nod to them, because in the comics they were the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think it's setting them up in the 3rd one to be part of this Guardians of the Galaxy team, or at least help them. I just wanted to see more of them, and they were only in 2 scenes. And one scene, Stallone flipped out on Yondu.
"Oh, you can't come back and join my crew because I'm Rocky and I'm with the cliffhanger and over the top. You know that arm wrestling movie that everybody loved, and I'm Rocky and I just made great and I should have won an Oscar. You know, okay, Yondu, okay."
Bad Stallone impression, but my point is I just want to see Stallone kick ass in this movie, hopefully in the 3rd one. The stuff with Nebula and Gamora was kind of touching too. You hear a lot about Thanos in this movie, even though Thanos isn't in the movie. I know they're saving him for Infinity War, which should be fucking sweet. But you kind of feel for Nebula in this movie because she's like, I'm always competing with you, Gamora. You're always better than me. That's how you were looked at by Thanos. As much as I don't like Nebula or the actress that plays Nebula, you just can't help but be like, the feels. You just have to feel bad for her. So those are really the scenes and the things in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that I felt like needed to be talked about, needed to be touched on, needed to be expanded more in a spoiler discussion video rather than just having my spoiler-free review without any spoilers. I felt like I needed to expand on some thoughts from that video. As I said in my spoiler-free review, not as good as the first Guardians of the Galaxy, still a hell of a damn good time. So you can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, subscribe at the end of this video to me on YouTube, check out some other videos from me at the end of this video as well. Drop me a comment in the comment section below to discuss more spoilers. I'll be happy to discuss amongst you guys, and I'll see you later.